So I have a lot of figures, and sometimes I just like to stand while, like brushing my teeth and just marvel at my display. And, sometimes I just get enamored with some of the figures I have. Like, I bought these two figures so long ago that I don't even remember when, but I just want to, rave about them for a little bit because I love them so much. So let's start with Darkseid, because he is the biggest one. So this is, in my opinion, the best Darkseid figure ever made. I don't particularly like his New 52 and Rebirth designs, where he's all armored up and stuff. I like it when he's, sort of simple like this, and this head sculpt in particular is just perfect. Just look at that. You really couldn't be more flawless with the head sculpt. There's no grimacing, no screaming, no angry, whatever. It's just perfect evil looking Darkseid. His articulation is decent enough. He can just about do his classic arms behind his back because he's so unbothered by you pose, and from the back it doesn't look particularly great because his elbows just don't bend far enough. But if we do make them a little bit more neutral, you can see here, just look, he is flawless looking. Articulation here on the legs is sort of hindered by the skirt piece, but it doesn't ooh, you're not really gonna see Darkseid do a freaking high kick now, will you? He's just literally just gonna stand around, hands behind his back, and fire Omega beams at you, or not even bother. He also comes with this awesome looking mother box that clips onto the back of his belt, just like so. And he can also hold it if so required. I don't know, is this supposed to be a handle? Because it seems a bit tiny for his gigantic fingers. But yeah. Sticks on there quite nicely. So yeah, he doesn't really have the best articulation possible, but like I said, it doesn't really matter because when are you ever gonna have Darkseid in a martial arts type pose? You don't really need it. And as for scale, I think he's decent. Usually I would prefer Darkseid to be a little bit shorter, but I also know in modern comics he's gigantic, which I really don't like. So maybe this is a good in between. I don't know, I prefer him to be taller than Superman, and as you can see, he clearly is. So, yeah, you know what? I'm actually fine with this size. Again, a closer look at him. Beautiful, beautiful sculpt by the Four Horsemen. I'm this is a bit of a hot take. I'm not actually that big of a DC Universe Classics fan. I think the line is fantastic in that it went really deep with character selection, but the articulation set up for most of it is really bad. The females look terrible. I don't like the hip design for any of the figures really, but standing neutrally, most of them had a pretty good silhouette, and like I said, they did give us a lot of different characters. But yeah, Darkseid is definitely a highlight in that line. Still hasn't been topped. I just can't get enough of this head. Just take a look at it again. I can just hear Michael Irons's voice coming out of it. So let's take a closer look at Darkseid's son, Kalibak. So for those eagle-eyed viewers, you might have noticed already that the eyes are a bit different from when I first showed them off with Darkseid earlier. It's because I decided to make his eyes a little bit beadier to get the sort of stupid brute look across a bit more. I'm actually more satisfied with this, so I prefer this. So this is a little bit more of a custom than Darkseid, considering Darkseid is pretty much completely... No, I haven't actually done anything to Darkseid. For Kalibak here, I resculpted the beard a little bit. I added this bit here, and I added these bits of hair up here, and I also repainted his teeth white, and like I mentioned earlier, I did repaint his eyes because originally the eyes were completely red to match Darkseid. But I really wanted everything to match up to Superman and Justice League, the animated series, where Kalibak has normal eyes, and he's got this extra piece of beard here, and these three hair bits. So yeah, but as for Kalibak himself, the sculpt, super good. You see all this nice Jack Kirby detail. I don't really know what you call it, but in pretty much everything technological looking Jack Kirby did, he had these like lines and circles everywhere, and it's a very distinct little touch, and I'm really happy that it's there. As for his articulation, it's a little bit on the iffy side, but it's sort of fine. I usually keep Kalibak completely like hunched, because if you straighten him out like this, I just think he looks a bit weird. It doesn't quite look natural. Like his feet, I don't really think his feet are meant for being straight. I think he really is meant to be like hunched like this, like especially like his torso here. It doesn't look good at all if you straighten it out. So forward it is, and then he's got these really long orangutan arms if you don't like bend them. So like suddenly when you bend everything, I think he looks really proportionate. Well, proportionate in the way that Kalibak is supposed to look. Yeah, sculpted detail, super good. He comes with this, I think it's called the Beta Club, and it's really well detailed. It's quite simple in paint, it's just like gold plastic, but it can also clip onto his belt just like so if you just want him to store it. Paint job is also quite nice actually. He's got like a nice dry brush here, same on the leg. All the lines here are pretty clean, a little bit of overspill from time to time, but for the most part I think it's pretty good. I mean, I think we've had like one other Kalibak figure, and it's based more on the... Okay, so Jack Kirby sort of drew Kalibak in two different ways. He drew him in this way that the Superman the Animated Series adopted, and then he drew him in a sort of more like Roman / Greek inspired way, which I don't particularly care for, but we got a nice figure of that look from by DC Direct. But if I can get to choose, I much prefer this design. I think it's a lot more unique. But yeah, this is Kalibak, and I am really happy with how he turned out too. There's also a little bit of blue dry brushing on the like hair and beard, which I had to copy just to make everything blend in a little bit better. Just for scale, I think the scale is pretty much perfect. We can compare him with Superman as well. Slightly shorter, but he's got way more mass. And if so, you'd want him to be like a bit taller, than he can get quite close to him. Like he's pretty much the same height. And you see like his arm is like 3 times thicker than Superman's arms, so I think he looks really good. But yeah, this was just me rambling on a bit for a couple of figures I really love. It reminds me like why back in the day why I was really excited to get both of these, and you know, I'm still super happy to have them. Sometimes it's nice to appreciate what you have instead of just keep buying toys over and over again and sort of forgetting why you wanted them in the first place. So yeah, 2 absolutely amazing looking figures. Still the best Darkseid, and still sort of the best Kalibak by default. Not to say that he's a bad figure or anything, but he is a very good looking Kalibak. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in a bit.
Who are you?
Your new lord and master. You may call me Darkseid.
My name is Kalibak. Give me the opportunity to prove myself, sire. Let me destroy Superman for you.
I am many things, Kal-El. You couldn't begin to imagine half of them. But for now, I shall take the role of executioner.